I bought a Lamborghini that I never told anyone on the internet about, and today I'm here to tell you about that car, as well as give you guys a review on that car, because it is the most expensive car that I've ever purchased, and I think you guys should know about it. Now, if you're not familiar, I've owned plenty of cars. I've owned, I think, 36 cars total now, and I'm 28 years old. Here's the current fun car. This is the Porsche GT3RS. You guys probably saw that. And so I've owned a vast majority of cars. One of them was my first Lamborghini, which was a 2015 Lamborghini Huracan 580-2. That car was sick. That was my first Lamborghini. I traded my Audi R8 for it. That car was super cool. The car market was so different. Back then, it was a 2015 with 12,000 miles, and I paid 180 grand for it. It was crazy. And the prices are coming back down. But like 2 years ago, that was a $250,000 car easily. Like my Lamborghini vintage shirt that I'm wearing today. Shout out Jacob Starr for that. So 2015 Huracan, had that one, great. I made videos on that on my main channel a long time ago. But I got rid of that Lamborghini for a couple reasons. At the time when I got it, there was a lot of things going on. I lived in the city, and there were riots going on in the city, and it was craziness, and I was getting stopped a lot in the car, and it was a lot of attention, and I did not enjoy it at the time. And so I decided to sell it, and I got my first Porsche, which obviously ended up working out for the better, but I did buy another one. That's only the second one that I've ever bought, surprisingly. So let's get to the car that I never told you about. Reason why I never told you guys is I haven't been posting car stuff as much, and thinking back, if I would have posted every time I bought a car, this channel would be massive. I didn't tell you guys because I like to keep my car life a little bit separate. Now I'm giving you guys insight on it, but before I wanted to keep it private because I didn't want to feel like I'm flexing on anybody, because that's just what I genuinely enjoy outside of like making videos on shoes. It's like my main thing. And so I wanted to keep that to myself, but then I feel like I'm doing a disservice with all the stuff that I do with cars to not share with you guys. So it was actually, if you saw the video of the AMG GTR, I was trading the AMG GTR for said Lamborghini. And I was trying to decide on what Lamborghini I wanted, but ultimately I really knew what I wanted because my friend, he had an Ultimate Roadster Aventador, and he also had a Huracan Performante Spider. And I always wanted a Performante, but I never wanted to spend the money. And so I kind of started looking around, and I started to kind of see if it would make sense, because at the time, I just never got over that hump of spending. I think the most I spent on a car before that was $220,000. I think 220 is like the most I ever spent on a car. So I was like, where do I want to go this high? Because I know I could afford it, but I just didn't know if I wanted to afford it. But then I was like, I don't know. So I went back and forth, and I went and I actually drove my buddy Peter's car, who had this Huracan Performante Spider, and I was like, I love this car. The things that I like about it is because the Huracan is inherently, it's a good driving car. I took my 580 on the track, and that was a lot of fun. But it's not like meant for performance as much. It's very flashy, but not as much meant for performance. So the Performante, when I got on it, that car is all performance. It's like meant, the whole purpose of it is to be built for performance driving, because a lot of Lamborghinis are big and heavy and whatever. Like the SVJ set the Nürburgring track record, but it's like that car is big and heavy, whatever. But with the Performante, it's built with ALA, it's built with all this. So I started to look into what I wanted, and obviously I wanted a Performante. That's what I wanted, but it's either a Spider or a coupe. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Huracan Spiders because of the soft top. I feel like it doesn't look the same. When the top's down, it looks freaking incredible. I wish it was a T-top, but it wasn't. And then when it comes to pricing, Huracan coupes at the time were in the $300,000 to $320,000 range, and the Spiders were in the $340,000 to $360,000 range. And to me, a $40,000 to $50,000 difference for a Spider wasn't really worth it. I go back and forth, and I'm searching all over the country for a Huracan Performante Spider or a coupe just for a good deal. So searching and searching, and honestly, I looked for about 3 weeks. I usually find a car pretty quick, but the Performantes are pretty unique. It's similar to like GT3RS and GT2RS. Like the owners are very particular, and there's a lot less of them for sale. In particular, as in like miles, spec really matters. With like a regular Huracan, most people aren't buying them for like the performance, and they want low miles and this and that. Like Performantes, it's similar to like Porsches and GT3s. So I looked more and more, and then I eventually found a car, and this car is in California, and it's a really good spec, but has a little bit higher miles. It's like 24,000 miles, but it was a certified pre-owned through Lamborghini, and I was like, that's going to be a good bet, because at the time, most of the cars were like 320, 25,000. This one was at 300,000. And so I was like, this could be a good deal. But I looked, and they had this car, it was either like 6 months or like a year they'd had this car for sale. And so I called them and I was like, hey, I'm interested in this car. Can we make a deal on this? And I knew what I wanted to pay and I knew what I wanted to go into for it. And so I started talking and negotiating, and something that you guys will learn and that I want to talk about more is like when you're buying a car, any car, keep the negotiations over the phone until you're like, your power of negotiating goes out the door when you walk into the dealership, because they can use emotion, they can use all these different tactics to help you buy, to make you buy the car. Maybe you're hard-headed, but the deal you can get is better on the phone because you can just be like, nope, and ignore them and eventually make a deal happen. So they had it priced at that price. I had a trade-in, AMG GTR, and we're working back and forth and and I was essentially like, no, I'm not interested. The deal they offered, it was like a couple grand off, $3,000 to $5,000 off. And like, this is our, maybe not even that. They're like, this is our bottom dollar. We can't go any lower than this. And I was like, well, then we just don't have a deal, because I knew what I wanted to spend. I knew what kind of deal I wanted. And so I said, I'm done. Then I start looking around at other ones. I found a red Spider out of New York, and I called the dealership and I was like, hey, I'm interested in this car. And the guy's like, oh, yeah, I got it. You trying to finance it or you're buying it? And I was like, I'll probably finance it. I have a trade-in. He's like, oh, okay, send me your information. So I sent him the car. He's like, but I got to go. I got a client coming. And I was like, okay, I'm trying to buy a car, but okay. And I'm a serious buyer. And so then I sent him the trade-in information. He doesn't give me trade-in information for 4 days. Doesn't respond for 4 days. I tried contacting him again. I'm working on it. So I ended up buying another car in that time because this guy just decided to ignore me and not give me the proper attention of somebody who actually wanted to buy the car. Because if they offered me a good deal, I would have. But they also offered me like $15,000 less on trade-in than the other place. So that was, it was a joke. So those 4 or 5 days go by, and this dealership that had the car said they own a couple, hotels, and this car, if it doesn't get sold by tomorrow, on Monday they said if the car doesn't sell by tomorrow, we're gonna, ship it off. We're gonna send it to be at a hotel and be a display car and an advertisement car, and we're not gonna sell it. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And he said tomorrow on Monday. I texted him Friday because I was like, you know what? I know they saw this car because I had a buddy who knows somebody that works there and knew it wasn't leaving till Friday. So I called him on Friday and I was like, hey, I'm interested in this car. I really want this car. I know you guys want to sell it. Do you still have it? He's like, oh yeah, you're lucky. It's going out today. Like, unless we can get a deal, if we can deal done today, we can do it. Because I knew the tactics going on. And so I ended up offering them a deal, and they came back a little bit higher, but they still took the deal. I think it was a good amount off. I don't want to say, but like, it was a good amount off. And that is kind of a testament for patience. I know this is a long-winded story to anybody, but I think these are things that you guys might find interesting. Similar to like a VinWiki channel of like the inside on like exotic cars and ownership and buying and things of that nature, because I think these things are valuable to know on any level, of exotic or not. If you're buying a car, be smart with negotiations. Make sure you do it over the phone. Text them first. Make them know that you're seriously interested buyer, especially when you look young like me. If you walk into a dealership and they're just gonna be like, you're not test driving the car, you're not doing this, you need to do a credit app before you can even do anything and all this. If you communicate with them properly, you know what you're talking about, and you tell them you're interested, that's when they take you seriously, and those things help. So the car is done. You guys didn't, if you didn't see the AMG GTR video, that car got stolen. They ended up delivering my Lamborghini, and here comes the delivery video to start coming in of my 2018 Lamborghini Huracan Performante. And this is in an orange color, which orange is my favorite color. I've always been wary of getting an orange car because it's so bright and so much attention grabbing, but this thing looked sick. It was a factory matte paint with 24,000 miles, and honestly, it looked in great shape. When I was looking at this car, there's a few things that I really wanted. The specific wheels that are on there, the multi-spoke wheels look incredible, so I knew I didn't have to get wheels on there. And then next was the inside. I did not want the carbon bucket seats because those suck for Lamborghini. They're so uncomfortable, not nearly as comfortable as the Porsche seats. So finally, I get this car delivered, and all that stress goes away, and we get the car, and it was great. I initially did a couple things. I think when the first weekend, 2 days later, I drove to Nashville, 4-hour drive, hung out with my buddy Chandler, who just got a Performante as well, which was for me convincing him, and he knew I would get rid of it before I had it for too long, because if you guys don't know, spoiler, I don't have it anymore. So that happens, and then 2 weeks later, I go on a, what is it called? The Corsa Rally with a couple of my friends who all have Lamborghinis. We had 2 Aventador SVs and three of us had Performantes, 2 were Spiders, 1 was twin turbo, and then mine was a coupe. And we went on this rally. It was freaking sick. We had another orange one. His was a factory gloss orange. Mine was the matte orange. We had a wrapped matte green, and then we had the Aventador and the SVs. Were freaking sick. So that was a crazy rally. And then from there, there's just a lot of fun stuff I did with that car. I drove it around a ton. I never got to track the car, and I ultimately ended up selling it and getting this car here. That was kind of like a special place in my heart because I always knew I wanted to buy a Performante and really feel it out. I got to do a lot of extensive mountain driving to the tail of the Dragon in it, and we literally had like open air, like it was empty on the tail of the Dragon, which if you guys know, that is like impossible. We had 2 cars the whole time that just pulled over and let us go by, and that car handles so well for 1, how tiny the tires are in the front, and 2, the all-wheel drive system, because it's an all-wheel drive car. Because I'm comparing it to cars like my RS, and for me it has way more power, 640 horsepower, all-wheel drive, crazy launch, crazy sound. It's really loud from the factory. I didn't modify that at all besides adding matte PPF on top of the matte paint, which was freaking expensive. I did that. And while I'm in here, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying this content, because I see you guys in the comments. The views have been going off on this channel, and it's amazing, and I love it. Thank you guys. But overall, the driving of that car was incredible, and that's why it's like their performance, the Performante car. It's meant for that performance, and those are things I care about less than the flashy. I don't really care, or more than the flashy. I don't care about the flashiness of the car, as I say with a green car behind me. A lot of people buy Lamborghinis just to be like, ooh, I own a Lamborghini. The thing about those cars when you own them is that that's what everybody says. They see it like, oh my God, it's Lamborghini. There's so much attention. These get attention from people that know what they are. Lamborghinis get attention from everybody and their mother because it just says Lamborghini. Would I buy a Lamborghini Performante again or another Lamborghini? In the future, potentially, yes. I think the SVJ is one of the sickest Lamborghinis that is out and that's come out. It's performance, and it's loud, and they're wide. I've driven Aventadors before. They're insane. For me, I'm just not at the point where I can afford to buy one of those right now. They're like $600,000. I'd rather keep this and track this, and that's kind of more my style. I tried the Lamborghini again. I had the idea that I really wanted to give it a try again because the last ending of me owning Lamborghini was sour, and I wanted the proper ending or the proper tasting of it with really using it how it's intended to be with like the mountain driving and the community around it. And I think it was a great time having that car. I didn't have it a whole lot. I think I had it 7 months, but the car market definitely has shifted since then. The prices have come down on them. You can get one for probably $280 now easily. But if I had to give it a review and stack it up against my other cars, I would say out of all the cars I've owned, that's top 2 cars I've owned of all time, of my favorites. This is my number 1 right here, and the Performante is my number 2 out of 35, which is a crazy thing to say. There's a story of Lamborghini that I never told you guys about, and if you guys want to hear more and more stories, I got plenty to tell you. So you guys should notice that, along with content around like me going to the track. I was just at the track this weekend, track content, reviewing my friends' cars. My friends have supercharged Performante, and we have 1,000 horsepower 720, and these kind of things. Those are the videos coming, but also these story times of cars that I've owned and telling you guys about them because I did not share it over the past couple years. So look out for that. I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure you guys subscribe. See ya.